Shane here. I'm on the banks of the Southermost River and just about to head off to find the southernmost point of Queensland. Okay, this is the southernmost point of Queensland. Okay, just as a point of interest, at the moment I'm camped on the Queensland side of the river, and just on the other side of that river it's New South Wales. Now there's a spot just further south of here where the river goes more south than a little spot 2 kilometres back that way. But it's actually not the most southerly point. I'll explain all that a bit later. But just up the road a couple of k's, it's a lot harder to get at, but there's a spot up there which is actually the southernmost point of Queensland. There. So this episode's mission is to see if I can find the plaque there that I put there about 10-12 years ago. So see if we can find it tomorrow. In the meantime, it's time to sit back and relax and enjoy the serenity. Now, although it may not look at it, this point here is actually slightly more north than that point. Where is it? Just there? Just there. There, I think. So that point there is actually the southernmost point of Queensland. G'day peoples. I'm now camped on the Southermost River. Probably about 750 metres or so away from the western southernmost point, and probably 2 k's away from the easternmost southern point. Now, I did a fair bit of research back in 2009, I think it was, to try and find where this spot was, and I had to have a few goes at it because I found out some information that the border runs along the Southermost River, but the border is actually between the 2 high watermarks. Now the westernmost point, that the 2 river banks are probably 400 metres apart. So even though the river itself is actually more southern, the actual border is on dry land 200 metres away from the actual water. Now, when you go to the easternmost point, which is about 2 k's up the road, the banks are fairly close together, and right in the middle of the river is the point, and it's actually, I can't remember how far, wasn't much, probably 10 or 15 metres difference I think it was in the end. So we'll go and have a look at that later, but yeah, so that's a little bit of a background to what's happening, and I'm going to try and find the plaque that I put in in 2009. So wish me luck. In the meantime, it's still a great spot to camp. Well, after 350 kilometres to get down to this great little spot, I think it's time to check to see if the radiator has lost any coolant. So I can't see any leaks or anything anyway. But anyway, let's have a look. Oh, hasn't used any. Looking good. Looking good. G'day peoples. At the moment I'm looking for the border between New South Wales and Queensland. Now, since the border is actually halfway between the riverbanks, you can see down to the south, about 200 metres away, is the water. But if you look to the north, about 200 metres away, there's the bank and the fence that indicates the northern bank. So halfway between these two, so halfway between these two is the actual border. And I did find it back in 2009, so we're just about to come up on it. Okay, it says arriving at border. And here we are. Oh, head back to camp. The border between Queensland and New South Wales is defined as between the high water marks of the river, of the Jumarec River. And because of that, the westernmost possibility is a very wide river bank or river bed, probably 438 metres. So halfway between that is the actual border. Now when you go to the easternmost possibility, the river's nowhere near as wide, and the border is actually in the middle of the river. So this western possibility, even though on a map it looks like it's the southernmost point of Queensland, it's actually not. So anyway, just a bit of fun fact. The border was done in 1859 between the two banks at that stage, and then the property lines, which are that fence just on top of that bank there. So the property lines haven't changed since then. So basically that fence is the northern edge of the River Jumeric, and on the other side of the river down there's also another fence. So it's basically between those two fences, halfway between. So I'll show you where that is, and show you where the border is, and then we'll head off and go find the real southernmost point of Queensland. I'm now at the eastern possibility of where the southernmost point of Queensland is, and just on the side of the road there's this red and white striped peg. See the red, white, red at the bottom. And I'm pretty sure that's a surveyor's peg. So it's it also appears to be pretty much due north of the southernmost point. So we which is way over there somewhere. So we'll take a walk down and see if we can find the old plaque that I put in many years ago. Something moving in the long grass over there. Still going. Nearly. Well, right on it, so it's got to be here somewhere. Well, found the spot, but it looks like the plaque has gone. Might have been washed away in a flood or something. Yeah. Anyway, we tried. And just out there behind me in the middle of the river is the southernmost point of Queensland. Guess I'd better go out there. Oh, this is a wee bit chilly. Hate this bit. Anyway, here I am at the southernmost point of Queensland. Oh, time to get out. Well, that brings us to the arse end of this episode, so I'll see you on the next adventure.